Well, as Amira mentioned there, that hands-up walkout that was taking place across the nation happened at high schools, it happened at colleges, even at shopping malls. But the hands-up gesture probably won't get as much attention in those venues as it did last night during the St. Louis Rams game. Maybe you saw the video, maybe you saw it live, or you've seen the pictures. 5 St. Louis Rams players, Tavon Austin, Stedman Bailey, Kenny Britt, Chris Givens, and Jerry Cook, they did the hands-up gesture coming out on the field before the Rams game against the Raiders. Ferguson is 12 miles from the Edward Jones Dome. The gesture by the Rams receiving corps, though, garnered an angry response from the St. Louis Police Officers Association, who immediately responded saying that the Rams players should be punished by the NFL. 5 members of the Rams entered the field today, exhibiting the hands-up, don't shoot pose that has been adopted by protesters who accused Ferguson police officer Darren Wilson of murdering Michael Brown, wrote the St. Louis Police Officers Association. They went on to say, quote, now that the evidence is in and that Officer Wilson's account has been verified by physical and ballistic evidence, as well as eyewitness testimony, which led the grand jury to conclude that no probable cause existed, that Wilson engaged in any wrongdoing, it is unthinkable that hometown athletes would so publicly perpetuate a narrative that has been disproven over and over again, end quote. It is certainly worth mentioning, by the way, that statement that was put out by the St. Louis Police Officers Association, it indicates that the hands-up narrative, as they called it, where Mike Brown puts his hands up, has been disproven in a court of law. That is entirely untrue. Remember, a grand jury simply heard evidence and was trying to decide whether or not to indict. They did not make a ruling on any of these issues, nor did anyone get a chance to cross-examine any witness who said that Mike Brown's hands were not up. That is not to say that they were or weren't up, but it is to say that this statement by the St. Louis Police Officers Association does, in and of itself, give this idea that, again, that this is a settled case, and it certainly is not. All right, I'm joined now by Brittany Ferrell, co-founder of Millennial Activists United. Thanks so much for being with me.
Absolutely.
I want to start out by asking you about the Rams game last night and the fact that those players came out that way. You know, a lot of times we talk about protests and we talk about people trying to make their voice heard, but very rarely in modern times do you see something like this translate into, especially professional sports, in such a large venue. Did you see it? How do you feel about it?
I thought what the Rams players did was great. I think just like people all over this nation and all over the world are standing in solidarity with the injustice that occurred here in Ferguson and that occurs all over America against black people, they stood in that solidarity just as everyone else did. I feel like racism is so deeply entrenched in this city to where, regardless to whether or not people want to acknowledge that this system is not for everyone, yet it seems over and over again against black and brown people in this country that we have every right to feel that after the grand jury dropped the non-indictment, that there's still a lot of reason to believe that we should still protest with our hands in the air chanting, "Don't shoot." Mike Brown was unarmed, and he was shot and killed by a police officer who apparently is above the law, like most officers are in this country.
So let me ask you this, because to me, and I think to most observers, that the hands-up gesture is not just about Mike Brown's case. It's about a lot more than that, is it not?
I mean, this whole movement has become bigger than Mike Brown.
Yeah.
The hands up was simply, it was adopted by Mike Brown. 16 out of the 18 witnesses said that he had his hands in the air when he was shot and killed by Darren Wilson. So we adopted the hands up as a way of saying, hands up, I'm unarmed, don't shoot me, okay? Now that goes for people like John Crawford.
Right.
Or
in Ohio.
Yeah, in Ohio.
Right.
And the young 12-year-old in Cleveland, Amir Rice, shot and killed, toy gun. Oscar Grant, Eric Garner. These are all unarmed black men who their lives have been taken from them.
So where does the movement go from here? Because clearly you have protests on your side, you have momentum on your side, which is a difficult thing to get in activism, and now you have a few of these little sparks where you're starting to see, again, on larger venues, some of the evidence of this. But where does it go? How do you keep from losing that momentum as you go forward?
Well, you know what? I like to compare this movement, because this is a civil rights movement. I compare this movement to the Montgomery bus boycott, which occurred on this day 59 years ago, 381 days long. We are 113 days in. Okay? We're not going to let up just like they didn't let up. It's been over 3 months. I'm out here standing in the blistering cold telling you about what's happening in my city. Because people like me, people like Alexis Templeton and Ashley Yates and Tef Poe and Tori Russell, we understand that this is not a movement that's going to end today or tomorrow. This is a movement that we are not going to budge. We will not relent until justice is served.
Now we're short on time, but I need to ask you this. The movement is taking you somewhere. Where is it taking you? Because clearly any movement has to have a destination. What is the destination here?
We want justice.
Define that.
Justice for Black and brown people in this country. We want to feel like the system will be held accountable. We want the system. America was founded on justice and accountability, not just for white people, but for Black and brown people, yellow, purple, orange people, people who live in this country, people who are born with constitutional rights. We want the system, the police force, to be held accountable for the way that they treat the people in their community. We want our police to start reflecting the people in the community. We want to be able to walk down the street and not feel like a demon. You see, to me, it's about feeling like a human being. I feel very un-American right now.
Why?
I've been feeling
Why?
very un-American for the past 113 days because I cannot protest for justice without getting tear gassed. I cannot protest without risk of arrest. You know, and my charges against me, no one knows. By the time I know what my charges are, I'm being released without bail because I had no reason to be arrested.
Right.
I deserve to exercise the same rights as anybody else in this country.
And so you guys are moving forward?
We're moving forward, definitely.
All right, Brittany Ferrell, thank you so much with Millennial Activists United.
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 25.
25 years old. Very young. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.